time loops and memory glitches. Let's talk about the symptoms, not the grand cultural shifts, not the headlines, the personal stuff, the weird stuff, the moments you don't tell anyone because they'd say it was just stress or lack of sleep, or maybe you dreamed it. But what if you didn't? What if time is looping, literally, and your brain is catching the glitch? We've all had them. You walk into a room and forget why you came in. But it's deeper than that. It feels like the room didn't expect you. You swear you've had a conversation before, word for word. You remember an event that no one else remembers, or you don't remember something that everyone insists you were there for. You watch the same news story unfold again, with only the names changed. Déjà vu, jamais vu, false memory, time skips, emotional echoes. None of them are new, but they've become more frequent, more vivid, and for many of us, more disturbing. What if they're not just quirks of memory? What if they're the residue of a deeper pattern, a world stuck in echo? Let's be clear. I'm not claiming we're inside a time machine or that the universe is glitching like software, but I am saying that when culture, narrative, and memory collapse, the body feels it, the mind stutters, the soul gets disoriented. This is what happens when you live inside a closed loop. Your memories begin to degrade. Events don't land. The present feels weightless. You lose track of sequence. What led to what? What caused what? You live inside fragments, not stories. And stories are how we know we're real. If I can't tell you what happened this year in a way that feels linear, meaningful, anchored, what kind of time am I living in? This is what I call chronological erosion. Not the loss of time itself, but the loss of coherent time. It's not a conspiracy. It's the side effect of too much speed, too little integration. We consume too fast to process. We react before we reflect. We document instead of experience. And over time, the brain adapts. It learns to skip the encoding phase. It stops making long-term memory. It loops. And when you don't remember your life, you can't be sure it's yours. This is the quiet dread that's haunting so many of us. Not just the fear of a bad future, but the confusion of a fading past, of a now that doesn't feel like it belongs to you. There's a term in psychology called derealization, the sense that the world is unreal. It often accompanies trauma or dissociation. But what if derealization isn't just a condition of the mind? What if it's a legitimate reaction to a world that has gone off pattern? What if your nervous system is right? What if the glitch you felt wasn't internal, but informational, a crack in the timeline, a misfire in reality's logic? Not enough to destroy the illusion, but just enough to shake your sense of continuity. That's what time loops do. They collapse novelty. They blur difference. They make every moment feel like a remix of the last. And in that remix, meaning erodes. This isn't abstract. It's somatic. You wake up tired, no matter how much you sleep. You feel like you've been here before, even when you haven't. You forget conversations minutes after they happen. You scroll for hours and can't name a single thing you saw. This is what it feels like to live in a timeline that's lost its spine. And here's the twist. The more you adapt to this broken time, the more the loop reinforces itself. It becomes normal to not remember. It becomes acceptable to live in déjà vu. It becomes trendy to be unmoored. We joke about it. We make memes about it. But beneath the humor, there's grief. Grief for a world that once felt sequential. Grief for a version of yourself who knew where they were. Grief for the simple joy of a day that felt long and full and real. So what do? First, we name it, not just as a symptom of stress, or a tech side effect, or a psychological oddity, but as a systemic breakdown in the rhythm of reality. Second, we look closer. Are there moments that don't glitch? Conversations that ground you? Places where your memory re-engages? That's where the thread begins. That's where the loop breaks. Third, we stop gaslighting ourselves. We stop pretending this is fine. We stop calling it normal just because it's common. Memory is not a luxury. It's how the soul holds shape. When memory glitches, the self begins to dissolve. Not all at once, but subtly, steadily. You become a character in a story you didn't write. You forget the prologue. You lose track of the plot. But here's the truth. The loop isn't perfect. It's brittle. It repeats, but not cleanly. And in that imperfection, there's hope. Because even a fractured pattern can be interrupted by presence. You swear you already had this conversation before. You remember a product, a movie, a detail a certain way, and it turns out it was never that way. You feel like something just reset in the room or in your day. But there's no evidence. Welcome to the glitch zone of imitation theory. This is where we step into the strange. Déjà vu, Mandela Effects, dream bleed, missing time, collective misrememberings, and the eerie sense that we're living reruns of events that haven't even finished happening yet. When the copy degrades, memory misfires. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. But what happens when the patterns themselves become unstable? What if time isn't just moving fast? It's losing resolution. What if memory isn't broken, but trying to adjust to a reality that's no longer consistent? Let's consider the Mandela Effect, a phenomenon where large groups of people remember the same event or detail differently than recorded history. Think Berenstain versus Berenstain Bears. Luke, I am your father. The location of New Zealand. Even celebrity deaths. It's not just nostalgia, it's dissonance. A friction between internal reality and external data. What if these aren't quirks? What if they're seams in the imitation? When you build a world from memory and looped content, you create inconsistencies. You create echoes that no longer match their source. And when your awareness brushes against one of those faults, you feel it. Sometimes it's minor, a flicker, a déjà vu. Sometimes it's visceral, panic, grief, a sense of wrongness with no name. We aren't meant to live in loops. Our biology is designed for linear time. Memory, healing, creativity, they require forward motion. But in the imitation, forward motion is just a filter. Behind it, the data recycles, and so we glitch. This is where many people give up and say, maybe we're in a simulation. But imitation theory offers a different view, not a digital trap, but a spiritual redundancy. We've lost contact with the source, so we keep replaying. This has been an excerpt from Imitation Theory by Sam Elliott. Read the full book and discover more stories that question the nature of reality at mybook.to/imitation theory.